there, superheroes. Welcome back for another video. Today, we are going to be talking about the new Superman movie and the test screenings it's been having lately, right? So, you've probably heard it from other videos and other content creators how there have been rumors of it being so bad. Or you've heard that, oh my god, the screenings were insanely great, right? So, it's all over the scale. And one of the video content creators that I listen to for DCU content or the MCU content is Boba Talks. And I think he is an excellent person at just presenting the stories out there rather than saying, oh, this is what I've heard, this is what I've done. So he's not a scooper. He rather puts all the scoops together and presents them in a wonderful, wonderful video. And they're usually lengthy videos, which is all great for me because I usually listen to that when I'm around me eating or working or whatever, and just to keep up with what's going on in these universes. So, regarding the test screenings, we've heard, again, both sides of it being so amazingly great and then also terrible, terrible bad screenings, which is apparently reason why James Gunn is back to reshoots, even though reshoots happen all the time. And I know, like, James Gunn is known for saying, like, I don't really do reshoots because they're expensive. He even said that the other day. But the thing is, if it's something you really want to succeed, you are going to be attached to that project. The way James Gunn is, like, that's his baby. He's probably doing things he's never done before just to make sure that it gets all the love and care it needs to go ahead and pass the test to establish that DCU that everybody has been hoping for with this new Superman movie. So, we're going to go ahead and watch Boba give us a little bit of some scoops on this. So I don't know if it's scoops. I don't know if it's just his thoughts on it, but we're going to go ahead and just react to it, see how he feels, and state our opinion as it goes. All right, let's go. And also, sorry, Boba, if you ever come across the video, I am so sorry that this is how we're going to start your video with the mouth open like that. But you're a great looking guy. All right, nothing against you, but we're going to go ahead and start right here.
And up next in Superman, I would say controversial news that I know a lot of you have requested me to talk about, and that is the conflicting test screening rumors. Here from the direct, they've kind of summarized
there it is. That's what we were talking about.
From Jeff Snyder, but also John Campea. And then there's just some other little sprinkly rumors out there. And this was an inevitability when it came to Superman.
Yeah.
Releasing. So,
yeah, to be honest, like, I would say I'd be a little bit more skeptical if all I heard was that the test screens were amazing or whatever, because then it's like, if something is ever always too positive or too negative out in the press, I mean, we've heard this before, right? We've heard, oh my god, like, Warner Brothers loved, like, Batman vs. Superman and stuff like Justice League, even the most recent Flash movie, right? And even James Gunn was out there raving about it. And that's not to James Gunn's fault. Maybe he does think that's like the best movie he's ever seen. Okay. But when you have reports that say, but that came out straight from his mouth, right? But when you have reports like, Warner Brother executives love it, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I think I'd be a little bit more iffy to hear one-sided answer, like whether it was all positive or all negative, or versus like listening to two sides of it. So
Jeff Snyder, who first said this on the Hot Mic podcast, he says, I put out the newsletter the other night where I mentioned how I heard good things about Superman, that the internals said it was improving, but I got a call from my best source after that newsletter. He said, great newsletter tonight, but he got one thing wrong, and that's about Superman, which I continue to hear is terrible. And some people were like kind of clapping back at Jeff Snyder there, saying that because James Gunn debunked his
Jeff Snyder has been
like that. He was
kind of outdated recently.
Very shortly afterwards, he said, I'm hearing terrible things. So I'm not like saying he just lied
I'm
about
kind
it.
of on that boat.
Maybe he did hear from like the source saying, despite what you said, good things in your article, it is terrible. But then you have someone like John Campea come out and say, and John Campea, again, I suppose hit and miss in the source department. He even says that himself, right? But
yeah, same here. I watched the John Campea show for not like to a great measure, but he's certainly some opinions of his where I'm like, I don't know how to feel about that, but Majority of them, though, like I do feel like his videos are entertaining and they're able to provide good amount of information. So
could know people. Like, I've known people before. Like, it's all of this is, I think, the moral of the story. Anyone can know someone, but it's not
yep,
always true. But John
yep,
Campea
yep.
said, and he acknowledged what Jeff Snyder said about what his source said about the movie being terrible. And he says, I think you should believe that's what we heard with regards to what Jeff Snyder said, but I will come out and say the exact opposite. I've
Hmm.
heard it's tremendously good. I won't say who I heard that from, but I'm not a scooper, so take that for what you will. I've heard it's actually very good. And I basically agree, and this is what I want to come out of mainly this segment of the news roundup, is what Campea said, and as the director continued to say. But I would disregard what I just said, and I would also disregard anything
Yes.
else about test screenings, and I'm hearing from this person, and I'm hearing from that person, because you never know who that person is hearing it from. So look, at the end of the day, when it comes to the test screening rumors, people are going to hear what they want to hear. But I think people
Yes, and I do agree with that statement, and that's where I'm like, okay, this is the point where I think John Campea does a good job of. One thing I do like about John Campea is that even if he has an opinion, he's not opposed to admitting that he may be wrong, right? Versus a lot of these people where they'll go ahead and make a video and they'll be like, no, if I got the information for you, this is accurate information. So, depending on who you hear from, unless it's somebody you know, like personally, or you've seen it yourself, I wouldn't believe any of these reports, whether they're good or bad. I think we need to take two things into account. One is there are Snyder fans and just obviously people that want the DCU in general to fail because they're just anti-DC or anti-James Gunn, whatever it may be, that are probably putting fake news out there. And on the other side, you probably have these James Gunn fans, these DC fans that are nothing but the DCU, right? And they're just trying to hype up the movie because they've been hearing bad things about it, whether it's the memes or whatever about Superman. They're like, no, we got to find a way to go ahead and create some noise out there, positive noise, and that's their way of doing it. So I I don't know. I think it's just better if we really just keep our opinions to ourselves until we get out there. But when these type of things come out, I think it's important that all of us, if you can, like, for me, I care about this movie. I care about the DCU, being a big Superman fan and all. I wanted to go ahead and succeed, but so when people are putting like false reports out there, of course I'm going to react to it. Why not?
people just take such and latch onto this because everyone has their own narrative. And I'm
Yeah,
not trying to stir the pot for anyone, but whether you're more positive, that might be a narrative, right?
yeah,
Whether you're
yeah,
more negative, like you hear what you want to hear, and it quite often contributes to your own confirmation bias about something, which is why I personally, and I always advise, and I'm not saying I'm always successful at this myself, but always try and be as level-headed as you can be.
yeah,
Do not let your passion for something blind you. Do not let your hate for something blind you, or your disdain for whoever may be. You know what I mean? Like, just try and always look at it for what it is. Unfortunately, that doesn't always happen. People like to add it to their ammunition belt for whatever side you're on. But, I wouldn't do that, especially when it comes to test screenings, because you're basically gassing up with whatever you're saying. Oh yeah, I heard the movie shit, man. Like, and you're using it as like what I think one of the things that
your
bothers me
own
most of all is when
justification,
people use it as
basically.
if it's a fact. Like they
Yeah,
state it out there on Twitter or whatever it is. It's like you're saying that. How do you know, man? How do you know? Like, we don't know. I'm
yeah,
not saying it's not.
yeah.
Like, the movie
Again,
isn't written bad. I don't know. Corin Sweat could be amazing. The actors could be amazing, but I might find a major issue with the third act and be like, Gunn, why did you?
yeah. I mean, you could say the same thing about a lot of other movies too, right? Where the actors they did a great job, but it was the writing, it was the directing. In fact, like I would go ahead and say that's what was wrong with Man of Steel and all those or DCEU projects. I would say the writing was the weakest part. There was no sense put into that. No, I mean, there was probably thinking put into it, but there wasn't any plan to go ahead and make that vision come true. Whether you want to blame Warner Brothers, whether you want to blame Zack Snyder, that's entirely up to you. I'm just letting you know that, Henry Cavill, all the cast was great. It was just the writing that was terrible. So it could be the same thing here. I mean, that ends up being the case, then sorry, that might end up being the case. But I wouldn't judge it until
we don't know
I
that
see
right now,
myself.
do we? But I will say that when that time comes, hopefully that won't be the case. I want it to be good for everyone. But I think people are latching onto this quite a bit because at the end of the day, recently Gunn did say after that DC Studios press address that we've done screenings. We've done real
Yes,
screenings.
he has said that.
Definitely learning stuff all the time. Definitely editing and making little
Yeah,
changes.
exactly, because that's what you're supposed to. That's the whole point of the screening
and whatnot. So that's why I think people are like, well, if they've done real screenings, there is actual real possibility that these details can ultimately leak to insiders, right? Those are my thoughts on the test screening rumors.
All right, well, thank you, Boba. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and say that again. I think whether it's good or bad, just wait until, at least the embargo, right? Like, that, I think that's going to be the telling sign. A lot of times when a movie is confident of its performance, they know it's good or they believe it to be good because they've heard great things about it. They will lift the embargo sooner than later. So that way the criticisms or the critics can go out there and the fans can go out there that have the chance to watch the movie to actually say, yeah, this is good and move it forward. Whereas most of the time, not all the time, again, most of the time when the studios know what they've got on their hand is pretty bad or they don't feel too confident, they'll go ahead and actually lift the embargo probably within a couple of days to the movie release, right? So I think that's one sign that we got to look out for. And the second one is just wait until the reviews come out. If you are really all about others' opinions, for example, if you come here and you listen to my opinion or Justin's opinion before you go watch a movie or a show, we appreciate you guys to coming in and doing that. But even I will tell you, man, we will only give you what is in our head, what is in my head at the time I'm watching that series or that movie, but it does not mean that you may hold the same opinion or the value for it. So, whatever your thoughts are about this entire topic, or even just about the screenings, have you heard anything different that has created your interest in this movie, or has it driven you away? Whatever your thoughts are about this movie in general, leave it in the comment section down below. Don't forget to hit that like button, that subscribe button, and that post notification bell. And guys, let's go ahead and stop the hate, spread the love, and I hope you guys have a great one.